Hello everybody, welcome to another session at FIPP Insider New Zealand. I'm here with Rebekah Billingsley, Global Digital Innovation Director at CEDA, and she's going to be talking us through some of the technologies that she's excited about for digital transformation. So Rebekah, welcome to FIPP Insider.
Hi James, thanks for having me.
No problem, great to have you here. Now can you just start by giving us a very brief overview of the technologies you'll be covering today and why you've chosen these ones to highlight?
Yeah, sure. I've picked 5 today specifically because I think they really help any company look like they are in the process of digital transformation, but it's not a high cost. A lot of these things are, they're really affordable, they're really effective. And specifically, we've used them. I've used all of them, so I can vouch for, the successes. I can use real stats. So that's why these 5 have made it today. So we're going to talk a bit about WireWax, XCode, Fusion, which is very, very new, Relative Insight, and Stackler.
Let's jump straight into the first technology. A lot of publishers have struggled with video, but you found something that might help with user engagement.
That's right. So we've been looking at something called WireWax. And in fact, we became accredited WireWax producers this year. If anybody saw Bandersnatch, it was a big breakthrough Netflix drama. Charlie Brooker, Black Mirror, invested huge amounts of money on. In fact, if you can't remember, if you didn't watch Bandersnatch, if anyone played those play your own adventure games in the 70s, I did, show my age. WireWax is kind of like that. So it's an editing veneer that sits above your video, so you can do any of your archive through this, and it's kind of hotspot, point and click veneer layer that sits above it. And what that means is that you can jump the video to certain points further down the line. So in fact, hand choices to your viewers. So you can see here on the left, this is a mint campaign we did for Tesco last Christmas. And users were able to watch the recipe for the mincemeat and then choose a recipe from that was using that mincemeat. And you can see here there were 3 versions of that. And you literally click on the box and it jumps you through to the relevant recipe. It's also a shoppable layer as well. So that means that you could in effect put a buy now layer onto any of these jars and go straight through to buy the product. So we've been using this, and you can see some of the stats are really, really amazing, and we are seeing huge drives to our call to action. So we're seeing about a 60% completion rate on our video views, which is 3 to 4 times what we would normally see. Absolutely. And we're seeing double dwell time on videos, people playing with it, interacting with it. So it's really driven up, like I say, people viewing, engaging, and then that call to action at the end.
So this is all kind of really increasing the amount of engagement that people have with video, and I guess that detailed engagement piece is going to be a real winner as people strive for more and more proof of the efficacy of their video technology. And if you're looking at this now and you want to go and have a look at some of the examples, you can see the URLs there at the top of the slide, and we will obviously share the slide deck with you later so that you can go and experience the choose your own adventure videos for yourself. Let's move on to the next one, which is focused also on engagement. Tell us about XCode.
So XCode, so the reason we loved WireWax is we wanted to stand out with our video. Video is now the big format. With XCode, we just wanted more data, and that's what this is brilliant at. So it's fun. You can see over on the left, we actually used it to create a vegan meal planner, and in order to get the results that people wanted, they were telling us what size family they had, whether they regularly ate meat, whether they wanted to cook very quick things, and that's giving us loads of information on our users that we can use for booking, segmentation, and so on. I've included this amazing example that Auto Trader used XCode for, which is just so smart. In 10 questions, they will tell you what colour car you drive. Now, who doesn't want to press and engage with them? But in order to get to the colour, you're telling them your make of car, how long you've had it. And of course, you can imagine the kind of data that's giving to Auto Trader on their users is just so valuable for them as a business. And we're about to, thankfully, we've had more time given to us for the first party cookie change in law. But it's a really good way for you to start running people through and identifying which users are which. Again, we're just seeing really high completion rates, about 72%. And what's powerful when you work for a brand like Tesco is we can use the might of the magazine, which is 4.65 million readers, to drive people online to give us this information in a really fun way. And that's really upping our digital transformation, because we're getting more print customers into our digital environment and then finding out more about them in a way we just can't do that with print.
Yeah, and as publishers look to build their first-party data strategy, these kind of interactive quizzes and polls, which is what this technology is powering, I guess they're going to become ever more important as a way to build a profile of your audience.
Absolutely. What we've done is we've worked out what data we need from a first-party perspective, and then we're creating these engaging products around getting that information, and then we're using the weight of our print and the scale of our print audience to get people into that. So that's exactly what our transformation strategy is.
Leading them down the funnel, leading them down the path to transact with you. Well, that brings us on nicely to the next one. So we've got our readers engaged, we know more about them, now we want them to transact with us. Tell us about seamless shopping technology.
So this is hot off the press. I know the guys at Fusion very well from previous career times. They came to me very early on in their journey, actually very proudly watching them launch this into the Daily Mail 2 weeks ago. So they're going big with this. This is the thing I'm excited about. It bridges print and digital in a really clever way. So we all have been using, well, we haven't, QR codes. QR codes have been around for a long time. In the Western world, we just haven't really warmed to them. They're very big in kind of Asian technology, but for whatever reason, not a huge adoption here. But then COVID happened. We all wanted to go to the pub. We all wanted to order a drink and a burger, and we all used our mobile phones to open our camera and take a picture of a QR code and open that into a kind of fairly seamless way of doing that. What Fusion does is uses image recognition. So this, just think about that. You don't need to print a QR code anymore in your print magazine. It means that everything on the page is shoppable. So you can have 6 or 7, 8, 10 different products on a page. And using this amazing technology, you can just hone in, and it will give you things like seamless shopping. It will give you, you can bring video to life with it. It basically just digifies all of your print experiences. Again, you could use this to drive people straight through to that Exco or through to that Wirewax and use the outcomes of people's choices to get your first party cookies up. We're talking now with the Tesco team about using this on tins of baked beans or recipe cards in store, potentially even your till receipt. So
and hopefully everybody can see the little video that's playing there, which is to just talk us through that. I've switched over to the version of the presentation that had the video in it. Just talk us through what's happening in this video, Rebekah.
So what we're doing is we're showing a page from Tesco magazine. You're opening your camera on your phone and just taking a picture of various things on that page, and that there is taking you straight through now to the recipe on the website. And also there you can either from that recipe or our journey go straight through to, so here you can see we're taking a picture of an article in the magazine. Using the image recognition, it's now going to allow us to shop that entire page. So it's a great call to action, and like I say, Daily Mail have just launched with it. I would expect this kind of user behavior to go fairly big over the next 12 months.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. So I mean, that's true seamless image-based e-commerce. That feels like a real game changer.
It's a massive game changer because, like I said, QR codes are ugly. It means that you've got to have them live at the time you go to print. You can retrofit this because it's image recognition. So one of the key things for Tesco is the magazine goes to print, 8, 12 weeks before it comes out, and prices have changed or there's a different promotion going on. And what it's giving us now is that ability to keep the magazine up to date with prices, with promotions, with new things that Tesco want to launch quite quickly to stay ahead of the market and so on. So yes, so we've been looking at bringing pages to life, by that YWAX video, whether we do shoppable. So we're testing the different customer journeys, work out which one's going to get us the most engagement and traction, what's the right customer journey.
Yeah, it feels like for any brand that has any kind of transactional capability, this is a kind of pretty crucial technology. Now, many of us in the industry are kind of Gen X folk, or perhaps even older, and we're trying to build media products for all those kind of very important Gen Z audiences. How can your next chosen technology help us with that?
This is a company called Relative Insight, and they've built this absolutely incredible linguistic research tool. So it's the best origin story in the business. They were a university team employed by the government. They were doing amazing things with linguistics and AI, and the government approached them to find out if they could create something that would find adults on children website and bulletin boards. And so what they did is they created this tool which can linguistically spot adult conversation amongst children conversation, and obviously intervene into that. And they've developed this technology now into a research tool. So what it does is you can plug in your Twitter feeds, or you can give them various things to go and look at, and they will use semantic language, natural language processing tools to identify how people are talking about your brand, how they might be talking about your competitors, what language they're using when it's very positive sentiment, what language they're using when it's not good sentiment, and then you can use that research to really understand how to pivot your brand towards a new audience or do things differently. So one of the things that I'm really interested in is, and I'll be using this quite a lot, is to just understand the next generations, because obviously they're using online forums, social media feeds, talk about everything. That's where they transact, in terms of their entire lives. And so what we can do is we can go in and we can understand the differences. Where are they going to go and get their news in the next 5 years? What does it need to be, saying? What kind of language? Who's doing it really well? Who's doing it really badly? Who are the kind of the growing brands in this demographic? And so it just gives us really interesting insight. And for me, it just takes out all of our assumptions that we bring to the table, having been in the business for years and years and years. It's just a really interesting tool, and they're finding some really cool stuff, and it's very affordable. That's the thing I found. To me, this sounds really high-tech stuff. It's a really good way for any industry to get into that natural language processing thing, to understand a bit more about artificial intelligence and language, which is where our business is going in the future. The guys are really, really smart, and they can take your brief and help you set everything up, and they can actually run it for you. So I just think it's a really, really smart tool.
Okay, so we've identified who our users are, we're transacting with them. We want to serve them some content though, and we've talked a lot about user-generated content in the industry for a very long time. You think about brands like Shutterstock that emerged as, purely from the UGC world, and have now kind of migrated into becoming full-service picture agencies. Tell us about Stackler and how this is taking a new angle on that in the UGC world.
Absolutely. So this is a company, we started looking at quite in depth when we hit COVID-19, because we just couldn't create anything. We couldn't go into studios and photograph. We couldn't. So we were looking at how we might plug that gap. And of course, the rise of UGC over the last 18 months it was already big, but it has been astonishing. And, let's think about what happened with TikTok and so on. But yeah, what this does, again, it uses AI. So it's basically, it looks at your user generated content, and it uses AI to understand where the engagement is coming from and why. And it helps you promote and find and identify the right UGC for your brand. So the example that I really like is that it's a case study on their website, but they were working with the Adelaide. The Adelaide Tourist Board, And they wanted to create loads of content about where people would visit when they went to Adelaide without going out and photographing everything. And so obviously social media was a big thing for them. And they created this hashtag called hashtag Designed for Life. And you can see over on the right the quality of images that were coming in. And after only a few months, they had 120 galleries of amazing high-level, high-quality content. So they reckon they published around 60,000 images. And if you were to think about the impressions that they were getting at about 2002, this campaign generates about 7.5 million page impressions for them.
Mm.
Very little cost in the end. I think they said they employed one full-time person who was just going through and making sure and editing and curating and re-pushing out and so on. So you just think about, again, it's not high cost. It's perfect for a brand like Adelaide, because what it's allowing users to do is define what they think are great things, and again your assumptions are being challenged, and actually it might be the macaroons in the bottom right that everyone wants to eat and see and visit for. The thing that it also does is it looks for hashtags that you may have missed. So even if you're not hashtagging it Design for Life, Stackler is able to understand all of the different hashtags that are relevant to Adelaide from a tourist perspective, and he's sweeping all of those as well. And then there's this lovely tool underneath where you can quickly get in touch with the person who created the asset and ask them, and they'll give you the rights, and then you can use that in your marketing campaign as well. So again, one of the companies we've been talking to about this would be Cathay Pacific, who've been absolutely floored by the last 18 months. There's no marketing budget there at all. The city's opening up. They don't know where it's opening up, what it's going to look like now. Loads of businesses will close. But actually, if you hand this over to the people in the city, then what you get is a very authentic marketing campaign, potentially for Cathay.
Fantastic. That's great, Rebekah. Thank you. That's 5 interlocking technologies. And I guess the combination of all those together, if they're implemented correctly, can really help to kind of turbocharge a company's digital transformation.
But not very much money. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crucial. Just before we close, just give us your view on where you see media going over the next few years.
I think more digital transformation. I mean, if any business is focusing on print, you need to stop that right now, and you need to start thinking about your first party cookies as well. But the thing I'm currently obsessed about at the moment is we're moving into the age of synthetic media. And what that means is that, bots are coming in, they're scraping our content, they're repurposing it, and they're publishing it as their own. There's a really brilliant example on The Guardian. This article, and there's a URL in the bottom, James, I assume will share this deck around, but
yeah,
have a read of it. It's absolutely incredible. It tells you fully what the brief was, and it was fed into an AI machine, but it's written this very beautiful, very emotive piece. It is happening, no doubt about it at all. I got myself into a bit of a LinkedIn discussion the other week when people were celebrating. I think they did a Kellogg's, I think it might have been, I can't remember, a Kellogg's cereal recipe. And it had all been done fully by AI, and I've no doubt whatsoever they came into my Tesco recipe website and scraped my recipe to get that. Now, who's paying for that? So I think one of the things we need to do as an industry is to work out how we retain our IP and how we make money out of the age of synthetic media. So there's some interesting thinking going on about, I think CNN are looking at Bitcoin and watermarking. These are the types of things that I think we need to be looking at. But yeah, I'm just saying, can we as an industry this time, rather than encourage everyone to come in and take our content, actually get together and as an industry and retain the most valuable thing in the market at the moment, really, which is excellent content.
Yeah, that's a great rallying call for the industry. Rebekah, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Let me stop sharing the slides so that we can say goodbye to you in person. Thanks so much for taking the time to come and tell us about the 5 technologies you're excited about and for your rallying call for the future of the media. Thanks very much.
No worries, good to see you.